Good morning again. It's 8 o'clock. I know we have an appointment at 8. We want to respect everybody's time today on this beautiful Monday morning. So let's jump in.
Hey, good morning. Here's what I want to do today. I want to kind of slow down just a little bit and go back to some basics here, just to make sure we talk a lot about the different reports that we kind of look at and access and the data and the information that we give you guys. I want to make sure you know how to get to it. Right? It may seem a little bit elementary, and I'm sure, excuse me, the majority of you do know how to get to this stuff. Let's just make sure you do. So what we'd like to do is do a screen share if we can.
Yeah.
And perfect. So everybody can see what we have up here on the screen, correct?
Give us a thumbs up or yes.
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 Thank you, Rob.
Yep.
So here's what I want to do. Robin, can you go to that Canopy tab at the very top? So obviously when you're logging into Canopy, this pops up. You can click to Matrix to get into actual MLS. But if you look down at the bottom, right, where it says SAM, you click on that box, that little clickable area. And then the next tab pops up, which are the SAM reports, the statistical analysis module, fancy name for it. Here's all your data that creates your reports, right? So I just wanted to make certain everybody knew how to get here versus just simply talking about it and go, yeah, maybe I'm afraid to ask how to get there or whatever. By the way, please don't be afraid to ask any question. I'd rather you ask and know than assume or not have access to things. Fair enough? So here's what we did this morning. Robin and I kind of looked around at some various things in here. And we just wanted to kind of get an idea of what's going on. Because again, we know sometimes some of the conversations you're in at any level, whether it's a true lead or at an appointment or just a conversation with somebody you know about real estate in the market. What we wanted to make certain is that you had the right tools to actually use in those conversations. So for example, let's look at this one. This is the
Townhome.
okay, so if we could, let's go to all property types for a moment on this tab. Perfect, thank you. Here's what we got pulled up, guys. We have all property types, which will include land and lots as well. No commercial, just residential stuff. And I wanted to look at Mecklenburg County and I wanted to look at the sales price. So you can see how we have gone in and set the stage for this information. Then I have it set up that I wanted the rolling 12 months over the last 3 years so that we can see through, this will be through May of this year versus through May in the prior 2 years. Here's what we see. So the median sales price, close price of residential property in Mecklenburg County so far this year is up 4.2%, the median. Can you click on the average on that one too, Robin?
Yes.
Right, yes, right next to the, yeah, one more over.
To the right.
See where it says median? And then it says average. There we go, perfect.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. So actually, so here's the average sales price for a single family or for all residential.
All properties, yeah.
In Mecklenburg County, up 5.8% this year. Look at last year, up 8% compared to 23. So I want you to go back for a minute. I want you to think about maybe people you've got that you had a conversation with, and these could be, for example, buyer leads that we're going to wait until prices declined. And maybe the conversation went back, excuse me, even to 2022 when interest rates were going up. And they're like, you know what, if rates are going to go up, prices are going to come down because that's what my uncle says is going to happen, or that's what I read on, on social media or anything else. So here's the reality of it. What's happened with the prices of real estate in Mecklenburg County over the last 2 years? How much equity have people missed out on? Because they wanted to wait for something that isn't happening or hasn't happened yet. Think about it for a minute, guys. The 519 average price is now 593. 520 basically to 594. That's $74,000 in equity that the market gave people who still bought homes in 23 regardless of the rates, regardless of the supply, regardless of anything, they still bought.
Well, one of the things that happens too is they just price themselves right out of the market for that same exact house by waiting.
Right,
So now we've got a lot of frustrated buyers out there, which is exactly what we've seen over the years, right?
well, what were the interest rates in 23 versus the interest rates today? No, they're not 4%, obviously. But have the rates eased a little bit, or maybe kind of at least held steady around a range that we're typically seeing in the market right now? So even if the payment wasn't gonna go down, to your point, Robin, what is that gonna cost now on that house at $74,000 more?
Right. Well, and the other thing we talked about in using this information too, is making sure that you get very focused on what type of property we're talking about, because we're gonna show you how that changes pretty
Yeah, so
drastically.
let's look at townhouse next. So now we're just gonna go townhouse specific. Wow, so look at the townhouse market in Mecklenburg County. Last year, yeah, up over 23, up 6.7%. Oh, but wait, what's happening in 25?
Mhm.
Only 1%.
A big slowdown.
A big slowdown. Better yet, let's go look at condos.
This one was a little scary, actually.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Condos up significantly in 24. But what's happened in the last year?
Yeah. Down 4%. And again, going back to, you can't have the same overall conversation with every type of seller.
Correct. This is where, when we talk about, or you hear the word or the phrase hyper local, now we're moving into hyper local, because, okay, we're looking at condos in Mecklenburg County. Here's the beauty of it. If we go up to the area where it says Mecklenburg, we can actually go in here, guys, we can get even more hyper local. Because see, a box pops up that tells us what? We can go to condo complex, we can go to neighborhood, we can go to subdivision, we can go to zip code. We can even narrow the focus down even smaller to get an idea. So let's, for the heck of it, let's type in zip code 28277. You might have to actually go to zip code.
Well,
That's
yeah.
okay. This is how we learn how to do it. There we go.
Okay.
And we scroll down. Three, two, seven, seven. Oh, yep. All right, so now we've got condos in 28277 are actually up 0.7% compared to Mecklenburg County, down 4%. But look at the condos last year and our zip code were down 4%,
Mhm.
where in the county it was up whatever it was up. So see, this is why we talk, you've got national macro stuff. We can look at Mecklenburg County, we can look at Charlotte, we can look at zip codes, we can look at neighborhoods. We can drill this down really into any conversation we need to have. And we look, not only do we look intelligent about the market, we provide greater value. And we have a tool that we can physically show somebody the information. Some of you that were on this, I did a version of this on my 745 calls last week, where you can even go up where it says share. See, down just a little bit more, where it says share. If we click on this box, we have the ability, it can be static. So in other words, we're looking at kind of what we're looking at now, or you can share this so that it's constantly updated when people are accessing it. So put this on social media, send this out via email, put it, get it out there in the world so that people know and have access to the most recent and accurate information. If you wanted to use this as a touch program for a neighborhood, and you happen to have, like, if you wanted to use the social media, maybe you're part of a neighborhood, Facebook group or something, share this, put it out there for that neighborhood. Or that zip code. Or do them all, I don't care, put them out there for Charlotte, Mecklenburg, whatever you need to do. I just wanted to make certain, and of course now, okay, something else to consider, we're talking about the area, in this case, we're down to zip code, but look at what else we can do, we can do price ranges.
Mhm.
We can even go over to sales types, we can look at traditional, we can look at foreclosures, we can look at short sales. We can look at all sales types, right? We can do that. We can break it down by bedroom counts. And there's more and more and more categories to even make it more specific if we needed to.
Questions, ahas?
Who's using this currently, this kind of information out of this particular resource at a high level? Or at all, doesn't have to be high level. Joe, I think you had a story, didn't you share something at a listing appointment last week?
Yeah, I used the graph for a particular neighborhood in Lake Wiley that is actually declining in pricing. And of course, they wanted 50,000 more than what my market analysis was for. And we agreed to 10,000 more. I can sell 10,000, but 50,000 is pretty hard. So, but the numbers showed, and they were aware of it, but they also look at active properties. Kind of have to coach them out of the active properties. It doesn't matter if it's listed for $1 million. If it doesn't sell, it's not a good comparable. I'm catching a lot of that. They want to compare what everybody else has put on the market and sat on for a long time. So you explain that, show these graphs. It's a perfect example of how to kind of stop those, objections for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's a tool, it's a visual, it's very clearly showing what it is you're talking about at that appointment, right? The beauty of it is Joe didn't take the listing heavily overpriced to only have to fight to get a price reduction in the future. He got it right out of the gate. You got a $50,000 price reduction at the listing. Because you were able to show the seller how the market is performing. So that, great job on setting the expectation.
Yeah, really good job.
Yeah, and Chip, we just used this Friday on a listing presentation, similar with, looking at the data and helped us win that.
Yeah.
Great job, Jim.
Yeah, conversions, pricing, let your resources that you're paying for do a lot of the heavy lifting for you guys. Because it becomes tougher and tougher just to say it and expect them to understand it. Which tends to be what salespeople do. But we're professionals, right? We're not just there as a salesperson. If you think about it, you're an advisor. You're advising people, you're educating people on how things are actually working currently, so that you're setting the correct expectation. All of that provides value, right? And here we go. This is how you're converting, this is how you're getting the pricing you need. There's two great examples right there. Dale, do you have something?
Just as simple as this is, because we see a few more homes or we spend time in them, easily 50 to 60% of the people don't use it. Guaranteed.
Oh.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, and I would even, the only point on that, Dale, I would argue is probably even higher than that.
I was being nice.
Yeah, I know, and I appreciate that. I tend to not be so nice. But this is why we do it for you guys, because we want you to be the professionals out there, right? I don't want you to feel like, you can't compete against other agents, because if you walk in with stuff like this, one of two things are gonna happen. Either that seller will, see a different light and choose you to be their agent of value to help them in the process, or they're just still not going to look at things realistically. And to me, they're doing you a favor on the front end versus taking a listing that's 50,000 over the price.
Well, think about it, Chip. I mean, the majority of agents in business today have always been in a good market. And they, really the agent that came in with the shiniest brochure won the listing, right? But they didn't really have to have all of this information.
No.
And now if you have this information, you're going to beat your competition every single time.
Fun. It's yours if you want it. That's the purpose of us doing this.
Yeah. For
All
sure.
right, what I'd like to do, if we can we go back?
Yeah, for
Is this
sure.
screen share? Because I want to look at some other categories in here, because after a while, and here's what I would challenge you guys to do. Just get around, just go in here and kick the tires with this stuff. If you're not used to using it, Just go like explore it. Research it. Look at your own neighborhood that you live in. And how are things performing? So in this one, let's look at the list of closed. We looked
Yeah.
at that one earlier.
Yeah, that was fun. And let's do, you want to do Mecklenburg?
Yeah, we can do, it's just Wood County and then. So this, again, this is your list to close days. And this will be May. We're looking at May versus, the other last couple of years, right? So let's look at it. So we're up 7.5% more days it takes to close from list to close. It can include price reductions in here. It can include all the activity, but the original list date to when the property actually closes, we're at 86 days.
Let's just look at single family.
Let's look at single family, all right, 77 days. Versus 75. But isn't it funny, we're down from 23.
Mhm.
So how much? It's what we heard in late 22 and a big chunk of 23, buyers said, what, I'll never buy a house at these rates. What's happened with rates? They didn't significantly decline. Again, they're hovering within a range that we're kind of accustomed to the last 3 years. But yet the average amount of time now list to close has actually gone down from 2023. We're up a little bit, of course, over last year.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's the average on that. Let's look, just for that, let's look at condo and townhouse. Unclick single family. So condo, 82 days, wow, we're up 24% versus last year, and the amount of, days from list to close. On condos in Mecklenburg.
So again, if I'm going in and I'm gonna list a condominium, the conversation is gonna be very different than the single family home.
Absolutely will. And it could be different if I looked at it now instead of Mecklenburg, I
Mhm.
back and looked at the zip code
Yeah,
or the condo.
let's take a
community
look at townhomes.
Townhomes, wow, look at this, townhomes 106 days. If you think about it, guys, it's 3.5 months. It's taking now, average. On a townhouse in Mecklenburg County.
And I really think the seller's expectation is it's gonna hit the market, multiple offers, gonna be gone in 3 days.
Cause I'm selling a house.
Cause, right.
Well, and that's true with a lot of sellers, but even if we did a comparison on this, guys, and show them single family condo townhouse, if you want to bring that into the conversation.
Mhm.
A townhouse right now is taking the longest out of these 3 categories to sell in Mecklenburg County.
Yeah, and Chip, it's Sharon, just to put some context behind that, I mean, you have to know what the numbers mean in terms of there's more homes available. When there wasn't homes available, buyers were going for a townhouse just to get a house. In addition, townhouses were more updated, whereas they could afford more of a little luxury home with granite countertops and things of that nature. So
Yeah.
there's some content behind that number too.
Love it, 100%. Yeah, we have to know what the numbers mean versus just showing the numbers. So now to Sharon's point, let's go down and look at months of supply.
Yeah, and I think going back to what Sharon said too, it's like they would have settled maybe for a townhome when there wasn't as much supply.
Yeah,
So, yeah, great point, Sharon.
so let's go look at townhouse months of supply. Leads us into the next conversation. Wow, 64, almost 65% increase in the amount of townhomes that are available compared to last year.
Let's look at single family though. Let's take a look.
Hey, Chip, I'm sorry, I didn't see. Did you have new construction in that or not?
I don't think we have that singled out, no.
Okay, so this is single family month supply.
So here we
I got
go,
this.
Mecklenburg County, single family months of supply. Okay, it's up 40%, but it's still only 2 months. Guys, it's only 8 weeks of inventory,
Mhm.
maybe 9. 9 weeks. It's not a lot. It's a big increase. So imagine if somebody was reading in the media, oh, there's a 40% increase in the amount of homes for sale in Mecklenburg County. If the media put that out there, what does a consumer, a buyer or a seller start thinking? To Sharon's point, it's context, right? So our job then is to show not only the comparison, but maybe we start explaining it further. Well, you know, yeah, it's a 40% increase, but that's still only maybe 8 or 9 weeks. At the current rate, homes are being purchased. A balanced market is about, what, 26 weeks.
Go to days on market on that.
Let's go to days on market, sure. You can look at median, we can look at average, let's look at average. Perfect. So average days on market, single family, Mecklenburg County, average days on market 33. Compared to 26, compared to 25. Sure, it's up 27%. 7 more days than last year on average. So even sometimes how we interpret the numbers that way paint a different picture in people's minds. 7 more days on average, it's taken us this year compared to last year to get your contract with a single family home in Mecklenburg County. What else do we want to look at? What do you guys have questions about that we could click through right now and kind of show you some examples of what things look like? Let's look at homes for sale. Actually, let's go to new listings. Rather go to new listings. Because this is where our activity lies, right? We do lead generation because we want to take listings. Nobody wants to sell a house. It's a really tough market. Oh, wait. May of this year, 2025, there's almost 11% more new listings that hit than May of last year, Mecklenburg County, right? Actually, this wouldn't be just May, this would be through May.
Through May.
But still, my opportunity is better this year than it was last year to get listings. Because last year we were down 10% through May compared to 2023. But isn't it funny, we're still behind 2023.
But what I see here, Chip, is sellers finally deciding to start to move.
Yeah, compared to
Like,
last year.
Yeah, compared to last year, I feel like.
2023, I
Mhm.
mean, we're 50 units away through May of 23 versus May of this year.
Right,
50 units.
so
Less.
back to what Sharon was saying, more inventory on the market.
Yep.
Is coming on the market.
Yep.
But you can also use the townhouse thing in a positive way. If you've got a buyer that is, having a hard time with a down payment, or, they don't want to be house poor and utilities are going to be tight, then I'm going for a townhouse because most townhouses are updated. The payments might be a little bit less, their utilities might be a little less, and they've got more opportunities.
Yeah, sometimes even some of the utilities could perhaps be included in the monthly townhouse fee, right? Maybe it includes water, for example. So it's simplifying. If you get, there's an article I just read recently, we were talking about some of the first time buyers who involved in the last couple of years have a little bit of buyer remorse, not because of some of this stuff we talk about, but because of other unrelated things that they didn't think about that have increased. Think about insurance. Think about the cost of doing any kind of updates, perhaps. Those things keep increasing and costing more. And now some buyers are like, yeah, I'm getting pinched because, my insurance is jacked up like crazy.
Yeah, so Maria's asking, I'd like to know the difference between median and average sale price.
Average just simply takes the average. So it's, say, total value against the amount of units or whatever we're talking about, that's average. Median is, you got just as much on one side as you do the other side in terms of like what the value is. That's the quickest way I can kind of explain it. But that's the difference.
So which one is better when we want to interpret the
I typically
description?
do
That's what.
average. Yeah, I usually just look at average.
Hey, Chip and Robin.
Yeah.
One thing to Charlene's earlier point, what we're seeing when we're going through these numbers is that the new construction, especially on townhomes and townhomes especially, are skewing those numbers a
Mhm.
lot. And when you separate new construction from resale,
Yeah,
what you find is that the actual days on market and things like that are very similar to single family.
yeah, right. It's a good point, Jim. And not all builders put in all inventory either, do they?
They don't.
Correct.
They put in enough to get their comps where they need them, especially if they're a newer neighborhood. But a lot of times they don't waste the time putting them in.
Yeah, that's why we always try to take this and filter out the new construction out of it, unless we're talking to someone looking at new construction.
Yeah.
Hey Pam, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. So when this information is shared, is it sharing just the data that we have pulled, or does the
Yes.
person? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, 100%. It'll share what you have access at that point. You can share that.
Thank you.
So you can share multiple things, obviously, if you wanted to.
Yeah, some great conversations. What else?
Who's gonna use some things that we've talked about this morning differently with some of the conversations you're about to have, or maybe you've had recently? You're gonna go back and revisit the conversation with some new data or a new tool.
I see Zach's hand raised.
And I was Zach, I did a call with PJ's team a couple of weeks ago. There was something I shared with Zach that he's like, I didn't know that. There you go. And I think you said you used it, right, Zach? Was it the showing information?
Yeah, seeing different like showings on different properties, because I have a lake listing, but it's on a weird lake like down south, so it's showing her like, I know you think 600 is the right price, but it's really not because of the
Yeah.
area it's in. If it's on Lake Wiley, it's a $1.5 million house. Down there, it's not. So
Yeah.
just making it realistic for her.
Yeah, again, it's just, guys, it's using information to set the right expectation.
Hey, Chip, the one thing that I hear all the time is I think people are reusing other people's numbers. Social media can really, and Zach made a really good point. Oh, I got a lake listing. Yeah, but if the lake listing's, down by Columbia, for God's sake, wherever it's not Lake Wiley, it's not Lake Norman. But what I've heard is they're regurgitating, or they're through March. They're not through
Yeah,
the
right.
second season.
Yeah.
They're not through, I've heard and seen all kinds of stuff. And I love the situation that someone brought up, and I apologize, I don't remember who, was, no, that's the listing price. Give me 60 days, I'm gonna tell you what the real deal was.
Yeah, right.
And just stay, again, we've talked about this for 20 years, be the expert, be your local expert. And you will get either hyper local if that's where you do your business. Or like, I love the Charlotte stuff, the townhouse stuff for our business, that's scary. But again, Jim made a good point. There's a lot of new construction townhomes, a lot. So that's gonna skew that number, but those townhome numbers are, or condo, who's, my God, those are like scary.
We just need to know it. I mean, that's the point. Who are we talking to? What is it they're trying to do, buyer or seller? And where are they trying to do it? And then just plug in the right, set it up the right way and get the information.
Exactly, yeah.
Love it. Great conversation today, guys. Thank you. What we'd like to do next time we get together, is it next Monday or the one after? We're unsure about July 4th.
Monday, yeah.
However we go, whatever the schedule is. We want to take a kind of a snapshot of how the first 6 months
Mhm.
has performed in a few of these areas. Again, just so we get our own heads around it the right way. And we'll just kind of take that snapshot and
Mhm.
we'll go forward from there.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, does
everybody.
anybody have anything else? Any last thoughts, departing thoughts?
I just wanted to say that with Sam's, usually what I like to do if I have a client that lives in a specific neighborhood, I'll start looking at numbers, neighborhood count in that county, and then Charlotte to give me a better feel of
Yeah.
what's going on. So I usually start neighborhood, county, and what's around it, just to, because sometimes, like you said, they look at the news and it's horrific, and then they're not sure which way to go. And that's for
Well, then you-
buyers or sellers.
Yeah,
Right, the news is always gonna spin things that make it seem worse.
make it sound scary.
Yeah. 'Cause that's how they get paid.
Yeah. Anyone else? Thanks, Fatima.
Yeah, we appreciate it, thank you. Appreciate everybody who shared today, thank you, and thank you, everybody too, for like the real life examples of how are you using this stuff to convert, get it priced right, and, real time information. We appreciate that, share as well. Hope everybody has a great week, let us know if there's anything we can help with.
A lot going on in the market center this week, you guys. So Keith James here, Wednesday. If you haven't signed up, I'd sign up for that. Tomorrow's team meeting's gonna be great. We have an excellent panel. Gonna talk about how they're getting listings and selling them. And then Friday, we have our inner circle. You've been invited to that if you've got the invite for that. So lots going on this week. Hope to see everybody in the market center. So thanks so much, you guys.
Also, Jenna's doing a DocuSign tomorrow afternoon.
DocuSign tomorrow.
And if you
Yeah.
aren't good with DocuSign, you need to be there. She's amazing.
Yes, she knows the ins and outs. She knows things that others don't know. So, yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, Zach, for that reminder. All right, have a great day, everyone.
Bye.